All right, guys. Moving on now to the third part of the series, we're going to be covering, their continuation of the open elbow, and again, it's just as valuable on the bottom as it is on the top, which is why we're going to be showing all of these positions. You can utilize the open elbow to create space for you to move, to kind of hang somebody up so that they can't really move around and control you. You can do it to create instability in their defense, so you can snap their arm off with a kimura or something like that. The idea here is simply we're going to utilize the position a little bit differently because I don't have the luxury of being kind of in the driver's seat the way that I did when I was on top. I'm going to force this to happen and that. And force is a strong word. I'm strongly encouraging you to do things when I'm on top. I'm still going to beat you up, but it's going to be in the way that you open up for me. Now, if that's true when I'm sitting on top, it is most certainly doubly true when I'm on bottom. No one pulls guard and whips someone's ass. You can pull guard and make things happen, no doubt about it, but I'm not going to pull guard and bully you around. It's a very, very important thing to appreciate the nature of the position because I'm just not as powerful as the guy on top. And just please let that sink in because I wrestle with so many people that try to pull guard and then do a move to me. And they'll be like, oh man, how did you stop that? And I'm like, I just stood there. You can't do that. That's not how this works. And they'll be like, well, my teacher showed me how to do the triangle. And I'm like, man, that triangle, those details were fantastic. That is awesome. If I would have let you put me in that, I have no doubt it would work. Yeah, but I'm not going to let you do that. So everyone that I've ever wrestled with that's at a high level, everyone that's at a really high level, here's the deal, is it's not that you can't beat them because you put them in your moves and they don't work. It's because I won't let you do anything to me if I'm in the first. I won't let you get started. And if it looks like you're getting started, you're probably not. And if I can do that to almost everyone that I encounter when I roll with, and I know that that's the feeling that I get when I roll with the super best of the best of the best, is not ever. Again, like if I put somebody in a triangle, fuck them, they're toast. But it's really, really, really hard to get a certain grip and put people out of position if they're at a certain level and they understand the strategy of the whole game. So what we're looking to accomplish here is utilizing the open elbow in a kind of very subtle sort of manner and utilizing it. We're going to be showing it through the lens of the omoplata mostly because it's a powerful form of control. You can still use the kimura from the bottom, but right now I really think that we would illustrate our point more completely with the omoplata. So that's the direction we are going to go. All right, guys. Now, before we get into how we can even think about being offensive, I have to, again, create my situation where I can be dangerous. So, again, I have my gun, and I have my bullets. I'm like, all right, right on. I've got the bullets here, I got the gun here, and I'm like, ha! Are you concerned? Well, if you know that the gun is not loaded, I wouldn't be concerned. I wouldn't be the least bit concerned if I were you. The second that I load the magazine, rack the slide, chamber around, and point it at you, that's very, very different. But there's a set series of things that I have to go through in order to become dangerous to you. So again, just because a gun is black and scary and makes loud noises at certain times does not mean it's dangerous. It's dangerous under certain circumstances and not dangerous under others. So the guard is the exact same way. I have to create the open elbow, just as I did from the top. I have to create the situation in which I can cause you harm in order to do it. So again, please let that sink in. Don't try to just do moves to people. That shit doesn't work unless they are already out of position, and good fighters do not start out of position. And Barry Seb. All right, so the first method of creating the open elbow, and right now, so this is what I mean about someone being out of position. You pass in poor posture. And I'm like, oh, great. Come back, like circle, so everybody see? Like posture with your elbows out. I'm like, oh, great. No one worth a damn passes the guard like this. I'm like, oh, thanks, buddy. Why? What do you mean? What are you telling me I can't just omoplata to somebody? I just omoplata to my partners all the time. Not to be a dick, but most of the people you train with aren't very good. Most of the people I train with aren't at top level. There's not that many Marcelo Garcias running around. There's not that many ADCC level people running around. It's just the way that it is. That doesn't mean that you can't, if someone's open, just go, boom, and hit your omoplata. But you will never once in your entire life do that to me. And I'm not the greatest grappler in the world. I'm pretty good, but Roger Gracie is out there. So what I want you guys to think about is creating a situation where Seth is going to pass compact, and I'm like, now if we rotate, I have no openings. If I'm like, oh, give me that omoplata, and he's going to turn my guard by, and I'm going to be in all sorts of trouble. What I have to do is force a post. So this can happen any number of different ways. But all I'm going to do, and we'll demonstrate a couple of different methods of doing this, but it's not about the method. Your guard, whatever guard position you like to use, you can make it work. Because I guarantee you, if Michael Langhi omoplated somebody, he got him out of position. If Cobrinho omoplated somebody, if I omoplated somebody, if any of these guys omoplated somebody, if a purple belt omoplated somebody good, they got them out of position. They may have done it this way, that way, but just think about how you're using your position. And I could step myself up properly, but if I don't open you up first, I don't expect to land. So let's say, super simple. The same way we did from the top, if I'm in my seated guard, I just make Seth's hand touch the ground. Boom, open elbow, vulnerability. Again, is that the ideal position to fire my omoplata? Perhaps not, because I went boom, and see, there's the arm and there's vulnerability, but I'm all the way over here. All right, does that mean it's wrong? No, that just means it's not open for the omoplata. I should have developed a different tool to attack the open elbow here, or I should use a different type of off balance if I want the omoplata. What if I pull him this way? Now I might be able to get myself into my omoplata if I slide underneath. So that's step one, is the idea of forcing a post. How could we do this? I'm a huge fan of, let's say, for instance, one of the best female grapplers in the world is Michele Nicolini. And she does a great, great job of getting people to post their hands when they don't want to, and then snatching them up in an omoplata. So let's say I'm here and Seth brings his foot up. I got him to post. We're going to get into the specific details of omoplata in a second. And again, notice, does Michele always use this particular grip? No, but it doesn't matter. Watch. Right now, I'm like, if Seth is worth the damn, it's going to be hard to omoplata him. I pull him forward just a little bit, making his foot, right now, is your foot heavy or light?
Heavy.
I'm like, fuck, this move doesn't work. I guess Michele's magic are really strong or some shit like that. No. All right, now watch. And I take his foot off the ground. Now I feel like a ninja, and I can move myself into position. So what I want you guys to think about doing is, if you want to move something, you try to make it light. Imagine you had superpowers, and you could just affect the massive things. I'm like, okay, I can change my own mass anytime I want. Wouldn't that be cool? I can make myself light enough to almost fly. And then anytime you want to hit me, I make myself impossibly dense and impossibly heavy. Or you want to move me. It would literally be impossible to sweep me. That would be pretty cool. Well, what I'm going to do, since I can't do that, I'm going to do the closest thing that I can, and I'm going to affect you. I can't affect me on a certain level, but I'm going to affect you. Anytime you want to make my leg move, right now, my mass is over top, my chest is over top of my foot. I'm not saying you can't move it, but it would take overwhelming force, which pulling that off and your back on the mat is tough. You're not in an overwhelmingly powerful position. You lean me over here, now my foot is light, and you can shoot it out. Wow, good thing I have my knee. Unless, wait, what? You pull me forward, and now I will post. Or maybe I'll hit my face on the ground. You can't control that. I control that. Now, again, I'm ugly enough already. I don't need to face plant the mat to get any uglier. So you can be pretty damn sure that I'm going to put my hand there. Now, that's just one method of doing it, but I want you guys to think about how you can make this kind of go down from any number of different positions, move them this way, move them that way. When you get them to post against their will by off-balancing them, you have immediately created an opportunity for your open elbow attack. All right, guys, our next attack, our next opening creator here is going to be laying a trap. And the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to get my opponent to attack me. Rather than yanking him this way, yanking him that way, making him post and all that stuff, I'm going to say, hey, there's an opening here, buddy, and I'm going to get him to reach out. Now, the open elbow is an important thing. If you're on the bottom, Seth, if my elbow can be open, but you got to be able to do something about it. That's like being like, oh, man, Floyd's right side of his head is open, or left side of his head is open, I guess because he's righty. Man, hit him. Well, are you in position? Forget the fact that you'd actually have to be able to do it. Are you in position to do it? Let's say right now, Floyd Mayweather is almost certainly not protecting his head as I speak. Why? Well, he may be boxing, but even then, he's not protecting his head from me, but I'm not in position to do anything about it. Like, seriously, think about it like that. If I'm not in position to counter you, whatever it is that you're doing doesn't matter. So here I am trying to get my underhook. Is my elbow open on some level when I underhook you? For sure. Do something about it. You ain't got nothing. Scoot away. I'm too powerful here. He's got no means to really meaningfully, no method or no access to being able to meaningfully get me out of position. However, if Seth stops me a little earlier, so let's say I reach in for the underhook. So watch the path. Seth, open your left elbow, please, and I go, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, great, and I follow with my body here. I'm bringing my body to my arm. If I go here, that's not what we want. So I go like this now. Seth checks me. Now my arm is far away from my body and it can be affected. It's a giant lever. When it's in like this, it's not that there's nothing you can do. It's just really tough. And, oh, yeah, I'm not going to just lay there and let you beat me up. So Seth tries to open. As he opens there, he creates the impression of an opening here. And I'm like, gotcha. Boom. And he checks me. Now, we'll get into, again, how to kind of go into this later, the specific attack. Omoplata me real quick. Very easy because Seth caught me in a vulnerable position. Do me a favor. Try to omoplata me without checking me as I underhook you. Oh, I'm going to go even slower. You can go fast. Go. I don't pass the guard that slowly. No one worth a damn does. But you are not omoplating me unless you can keep me at a vulnerable range. So one more time. This time, Seth checks me. Wow, look at that. He used his elbow instead of his hand. That's so weird. Why didn't... That's a different move, right? No, it's the same move. He's just not letting me get close enough. So I have this understanding that, yeah, I'm going to reach over there, but I'm going to follow it up. And Seth says, yeah, that first part's true, but I'm not going to let you do the second part. So I go, ha-ha, boom. See how my arm, if we rotate, is open. This is the sort of trap we're looking for. Now you can do this from when you're seated, or rather on your back. You do this seated. Seth, you're over here. You'll see this done. I do this all the time. Marcelo Garcia does this all the time. Reach for your underhook on the side they can see. So, boom. Wow, I'm using my head this time. Does your elbow feel open?
Yes.
Great. You're in trouble. And again, we're going through the attack that we're following up with in most of these cases is the omoplata, but recognize there's other stuff you can most certainly do. Just kind of, there's no way that I could show everything possible. I just want you guys to recognize that the driving force behind whether or not you succeed or fail is going to be whether or not you get me out of position. Because if I'm out of position, I may know what to do. It's not like I don't know how to pass the guard. I'm not perfect, but I know how to pass the guard. But what can I do if I'm out of position? By definition, I'm not where I need to be. Peyton Manning doesn't throw the ball well like this. He may throw it better than I do like this, but I guarantee you I throw it better this way than he does that way. If he's out of position and I'm not, I will actually be a more effective quarterback than he is. Ridiculous as that sounds. So, why is Peyton Manning such a problem? One, he has the ability to see the game and read on a level that's hard for me to kind of wrap my head around, but he's always in position. He's always set. He's always ready to move. He's always go this way. He can see. He's in proper angle, proper structure. Wow. No wonder he's so good. You watch guys that aren't fundamentally sound. They're out of position. Their feet aren't there. Their body's kind of torqued out. They're not looking the right way. They're twisting. They're not throwing. They're not planting properly. All that stuff. So what I want you guys just to consider is what constitutes vulnerability, and then you start to go, oh, I can control this entire thing. All right, guys. The last method of creating the open elbow that we're going to be utilizing is going to be the pry. This is my least favorite of the bunch. Doesn't mean it doesn't work, but it does kind of imply a certain level of physical power relative to the other guy. Which, hey, don't get me wrong. You want to train to be strong. You want to train to be fast. You want to do all these things. But I don't like making one of my operating assumptions that I'm going to be as strong or stronger than you. Hey, a lot of times I am as strong or stronger than the other guy, but that's not how I practice to be, because otherwise what happens when I run into someone that physically makes me look like a little kid, which every so often will happen? I'm probably unlikely to do well. So what we're going to do, at the very least, I want to cultivate methods that don't require me to be more powerful or comparably powerful to you. That way when I'm successful no matter what, or I'm dangerous no matter what, and then when I can't be in a situation where I can move you around, or rather when I can actually bully you a little bit too, then my options explode and you're in some real serious trouble. So Seth's passing my guard here, and he's got good position. Seth's elbows are in. Let's say I just jam my foot into his hip and pull his arm out. Now, this is actually a heck of a lot harder than it seems. This is kind of the sort of stuff that people do at the low levels a lot. Don't get me wrong, it works at a high level too. But you see it all the time where people are like, oh, get that elbow, like, and they go for omoplata and they go for whatever all else. I used to do this, I'd jam people in the hip and shoot my triangle and stuff. Hey, that's cool. As you get better, you're just slicker. You have different ways of moving a little less directly, because the other thing is, the second that I'd start putting my foot in Seth's hip and pulling, he knows exactly what I'm doing. Hey, that doesn't mean he's necessarily going to be able to stop me, except for, oh, wait, I'm on my back, and he's not. So he's more likely to be able to stop me. So what I want you guys to think about doing are two methods of prying. So let's say, for instance, I have a hip, and I'm just making this hyper simple. Don't worry about this specific grip. I'm not saying I wouldn't recommend this. This ain't gonna work on somebody for real. Post your foot on their hip, hold their hand, scoot backwards to draw their foot out. Seth, am I jamming my foot into your hip?
No.
No, I moved away from you. If I go here and I start kicking Seth, just slide your hip out. And I'm like, and I lose the position. I want to make sure that my post on Seth doesn't go away. So it's a marker. It's not digging into. I'm not trying to kick the shit out of him. So we're here, and I move backwards is one. The other is, let's say, for instance, going here, where I prefer that because I'm creating levers, or rather I'm using leverage. I'm pushing on Seth's knee instead of his hip. Same idea, creating instability in Seth's base, and I'm also creating an opening in his elbow. So I'm like, boom, that's great. And now I can try to attack or whatever all else. It's great. It's very, very similar to the idea, shoot that foot up for a second. This is Michelle's move. I'm just doing it, if that knee comes down, if your knee's down for a second, just doing it here. Same idea, but we're kind of creating a little bit more of a ham-handed approach. It's probably the one that's going to work for you most easily in the beginning. It requires the least amount of flow and calm. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It's great. It's fine. Gets the job done, But it becomes very apparent to me what you're trying to do the second that you grab me. Doesn't mean it's not going to work, but as we're starting to develop our game, I really want you guys to think about the first two methods that we went over a little bit more, with a little bit more of a bit more of a closer eye, just because those are going to be the ones where you're going to be able to have a little bit more kind of Jedi-ish kind of movement to your guard that at the high level is very, very important. All right, guys, now that we've kind of created a little bit of an understanding about how to get your opponent into a vulnerable configuration in his defense, we're going to discuss the omoplata position. The reason that I'm going into the position first is so that when I show you guys how to do all the different sweeps and the movements, you already have your kind of base understanding of what we're trying to do and what else is going on and how the deal works. And most importantly, once you get that down, the strategic concerns of how this is going to play out. Because, again, there's plenty of people that know how to throw a reasonable straight right hand. It's not that complicated. I'm not saying that I'm that great at it, but it's not that complex. It's like how many people can rear naked choke. Every freaking blue belt is comparably effective to, let's say Marcelo Garcia with it, provided that everyone gets to start here. Well, almost anybody that's worth a damn is going to put you to sleep. The only thing that would really get in the way is that they're like, and they don't believe in it. All right, so obviously, every single blue belt is nowhere near as effective as a good black belt, much less Marcelo Garcia. So where's the disconnect? In my opinion, it's in the creation of the situation and also the understanding of how this thing comes into play. So what I want you guys to recognize when we get ourselves in the omoplata is that it is, again, a position. Just like everything else we described with the Kimura, the arm triangle, I am controlling you. I'm not trying to break your shoulder. I may break your shoulder, but I am controlling you first and foremost, and I'm leveling multiple threats at you, which is going to allow me to point you, in one direction or another, and then take the path of least resistance to defeating you based on how you reply. I am not going to get this and go apeshit, and I'm going to sweep. Every now and then you'll see that in jiu-jitsu tournament. It's either done by someone that doesn't know what he's doing, or it's done by someone that knows exactly what he's doing and goes, shit, there's 8 seconds left. I just need to score. I don't have the luxury of playing the ninja-like approach to this whole thing. I just got to make this happen. Hey, that's fine, but recognize what you're looking at. You're looking at someone that is desperate because he needs to score right that second. That does not mean that's how the omoplata is necessarily ideally used. So when I get myself here and I'm attacking Seth's right arm, we're going to get into the different variety of omoplata. Let's rotate a little bit. Other way. Okay, so omoplata position. Notice the open elbow. I'm taking his elbow far from his belt. At the very, very best, even if you get your hand inside of your thigh and all that good stuff, his hand, if we rotate a little bit so you guys can see, his elbow is close to his knee and everything like that, but I have a pry, I have a check, a wedge in between Seth's arm and his body. So even in the absolute best of circumstances for Seth, I have something that I can use to yank his arm away. Whereas if I was simply pulling from the outside, it would be very difficult. So it's the same idea as the Kimura. I have access to this lever of his upper arm and his elbow and his forearm that I can use to make him move. Now, from here, again, I'm laying my back, but what I want you guys to think about is not going, okay, because a lot of times what do? We focus on the triangle, we focus on the cosmetics of the position, but not the feel. The feel has to be right. There's so many different ways to do omoplata, man. I can do it like this. I can turn sideways. I can create pressure. Hold on tight. Do whatever you want. I'm like, oh, no. Do you feel like you can get your arm out easy?
No.
Right, I'm blocking his elbow. I'm doing all these things. It doesn't look like an omoplata, but guess what? That's because this is not the omoplata. The omoplata is lever control with the open elbow. So what we're looking to do here is manage a couple different threats. Seth right now is on his base. You know, he's threatened for sure, but he's not even losing yet. Right now, can you sit up? Why is that?
Because there's nothing affecting my posture.
Yeah, nothing holding him down. How many times did that happen to you guys where you go like, oh, omoplata, hell yeah, and then you get yanked up? I know that used to happen to me all the damn time because I would go to this and I'm like, all right, sweet, got him. And I'd squeeze my knees and I'd latch onto him and I'm like, oh yeah, let me hold the elbow and all that stuff. These things kind of matter, but they more or less don't, honestly. You know, it's what we're looking for here is making sure. Right now, do you feel any lever pressure?
No.
Guess what? I'm squeezing my ass off right now. It doesn't do shit. Because Seth's arm is really skinny in comparison to the space inside my triangle. Think about the thickness of your arm versus even the thickness of your neck. And then recognize how difficult it is to finish a no-arm triangle. It's real tough unless you got stumpy little legs and the other guy's got a big neck too. All right, so how does squeezing here really accomplish much for me? It does not. What we're looking to do is apply positive pressure forward with our inside leg. That's going to start to break Seth's posture. The threat of breaking Seth's posture is what I'm going to start to use to get everything else to happen. Right now, do you feel like you want to move right now?
No, not really.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. He doesn't want to be in the omoplata, but, you know, whatever. He's not horribly in danger here. What about now? If I start to bring you forward, what are you feeling?
I feel like I'm getting pushed down into the floor.
Exactly. He has no arm here. If you take this arm out and I push him down on the floor, he'd post that hand. Well, he doesn't have that luxury right now. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bring him into this space right here. That's the threat. And then me sitting up. Oh, wait, I just got a lot more mobile. I can move a lot better than I could a second ago because I'm sitting up rather than laying on my back. A little less stable. Pardon me, a little less stable, but whatever. Now, can you sit up easily?
No.
He can't. Because I made an initial threat on him, I haven't said, I'm sweeping, because this is where people will latch and then start getting put back to their back because they stop being sensitive. I want you to recognize that there's a threat going forward, a threat going backward, a threat going sideways, pulling him off balance, taking advantage of all these things. If you post this hand up for a second, if I pull you this way, well, that doesn't work. Unless, of course, what? I'm like, wait a minute. He has no arm there. So when we get ourselves into this omoplata position, guys, I want you to know that we're maintaining 3 different basic threats. And yeah, there's this grip and there's that grip and there's choking and all this shit. It's cool. But hey, it's forward, backward, and in. That's going to bother him and really start to mess him up. And based on how he responds to these threats, I'm going to look to finish. Don't get into the position and start to go, oh, I'm in the driver's seat now. It is ass whipping time. No, you were not. You were in an excellent position. And even the Clark Gracies of the world who have a fantastic omoplata, Zach Maxwell's another guy with a fantastic omoplata. If you want to look out there and see different people you can watch doing this very effectively in jiu-jitsu competition, they get there and they utilize these different things. But even if you can't see it, they're off balancing you this way, off balancing you that way, moving you here, moving you there. Because look, it's just not easy to go and just do something to people of a high level of grappling. It doesn't work that way. If I can do that to you, you're not that good. Doesn't mean you can't be dangerous if you put me in a triangle, but it just means that your level's not that high. If these guys, since they're able to be successful, they're putting their opponent out of position, moving this way, moving that way. Yeah, they'll grab you here, they'll grab you there in order to do their moves, but they're maintaining multiple threats at once, which is going to allow them to be able to keep you in an off-balance position, both physically as well as mentally, and then follow up with their attack later on that's going to be the finisher. All right, guys. Now I want to demonstrate kind of how to create the proper leverage and pressure and power inside of the omoplata position that's going to allow you to control your opponent. Because again, very, very commonly when people omoplata me, I feel like when I train with most people that put me in omoplata, I feel like they just latch on, and it doesn't feel effective, and I can just kind of shake them off. And that is not the feel that you want to have. You know, when you watch omoplata come from Marcelo Garcia, you're going to know about it when you end up in the omoplata from anybody that's good. If I put omoplata on you, you are absolutely not just going to be like, oh, okay, I'm in omoplata. It's going to be, oh, shit, I'm moving this way, I'm moving that way. And if that's not occurring, that means that the top guy is doing something really, really good that's keeping his balance, making it tough. And then that's where the battle is to get this person starting to move around. Because once I start to mess you up like this, that's when I'm going to be able to make everything else happen. But the key is understanding how the leverage works. So here I am. If I start with Seth in omoplata here, worst thing I can do is this. See my right foot's on the ground? I'm blocking myself. Right now, Seth, do you feel any pressure on your right shoulder?
No, not really.
No. I'm like, I can do almost anything. What I want to do is, I'm generally speaking, my first movement, the second that I hit omoplata, and this is assuming that I wasn't able to swat you to the ground in the first place, which is kind of my preferred method of doing it, and one that I initially learned from Paul Schreiner, my coach, and Marcelo Garcia, which we'll get into later. But right now, this is assuming that I'm kind of in this threaded position, and I don't have a ton of pressure. What I want to do is recognize that as a man, the heaviest part of my body is my shoulders. Second heaviest part of my body is my ass and my hips. If you're a woman, it's the other way around, but it's still the two heaviest parts of your body, unless you know something as strange is going on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post my hands. I'm going to open my feet, because here's the other thing. I don't kick very well with a triangle. I'm going to open my feet, point them forward, and put my hands on the floor and draw my ass backwards. What this did is, by drawing my ass backwards, you can't bring your butt backwards without having your knee drop to the floor. Check this out. So I'm like this. I'm like, all right, I don't want my knee I don't want my right knee here to start to descend towards the floor. Naturally, that's what occurs when you bring your hips backwards. Now, if I think I'm going to move, the worst thing, I'm like, all right, sweet. Yo, dude, I can't move. I've got no contact with the ground. I post my hands, draw back, and now watch. I'm like, all right. You feel good pressure, right, Seth?
No.
Oh, wait a second. I'm blocking myself. How about now?
Puts me in the mat.
See how he had to put his butt all the way up in the air to avoid having his shoulder torqued? Where do you feel pressure?
Just right on top of my shoulder.
Right on the back of his arm, exactly. Right here. It could be on the humerus, out towards the elbow. It could be towards the shoulder. But if you notice, what I've done is I've sucked my butt backwards, and I brought my chest forward. And almost like I'm trying to touch my toes. Can you lift me, please?
No.
Watch this. When I bring my hips forward, if we rotate a little bit to your left. So I now have, just like seated guard, I have base behind me. Got my ass back. When I go here, lift up. Ugh. Well, that's so different. Would you ever play seated guard like this? Hell no, you get knocked backwards. Oh, okay. Do that again, please. Don't worry, I'll wait.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, it ain't happening. And then from here, I'm going to be able to launch all sorts of stuff. Because if you do even want to think about going backwards, you're going to have to go berserk. And as he yanks up, that's when all the other things are going to start to happen. But it's my initial threat. If I don't have an initial threat, and the omoplata is not threatening, you just grabbing my arm with your legs, I don't care. Like, seriously, imagine it were MMA and I just, or real life, or even grappling and I'm allowed to slam you like in Abu Dhabi. I can just pick up and spike you in your neck. You're not doing yourself any favors for just attaching yourself to my arm. You're doing yourself favors by attaching yourself to the open elbow, or rather to the arm, utilizing the pressure of the situation of the open elbow, and then utilizing the leverage that the open elbow grants you to staple dude to the ground. That's what you want to do. So I haven't even gotten into my arm positioning yet or things like that. Well, you know, again, matters, but way less than all this shit. So if we come back, as soon as I'm here, I make my triangle. Why do we triangle anyway? A lot of times it doesn't matter. What? Right now, Seth, remove your arm, please. Oh, okay, do me a favor. If we come back, and I'm like, oh, I got the triangle. Remove your arm. It just seems like the thing to do because jiu-jitsu people love triangles. I love triangles. Everybody loves triangles. Okay, do me a favor. Get your arm out now. See, I'm blocking the retraction point of his elbow. Get your arm out now. I'm keeping his elbow from withdrawing. Watch. Take your arm out, please. See the path? It just went right out the back of his elbow, like I'm pointing a finger. All right, great. Unless the triangle is doing that, and here's the other thing. I'm tall and skinny. So when I make a triangle, there's a whacking huge ton of space between my legs. I can hold my elbow. I can hold Steph's elbow here. Get your arm out, please. I don't need the triangle. I do not need the triangle. I'm not saying don't do the triangle. There are reasons for it, and we're going to get to it later on because it creates structure for your secondary attacks. But as far as your regular omoplata, it's not doing that. So if we come back one more time, as soon as I get myself into omoplata and I want to create leverage, I may make a triangle for a second, just to, again, it seems like the thing to do when I can kind of create a little bit of downward momentum. But my hands hit the floor, I scoot my ass back, and now I can reach over, but I wouldn't recommend it. Anybody want to guess why? Hey, re-roll. Like, open elbow. Oh, shit. Hey, does it work? Sure, but just stay here. Keep your elbow close. It's the same principle. Right now, I got good pressure on your shoulder, right, Seth? Uh-oh. I don't have good pressure on the shoulder. I should be able to hold this without any squeezing. I'm not saying you don't squeeze, but I should be able to hold it, particularly when Seth's not trying to go nutso to get out, just by creating compression. Get your hand out now. See here, watch. I'm compressing his hand between my gut and my thigh. Okay, cool. You feel pressure though, right?
No, not really.
Nothing.
On my hand.
On the hand, but not the shoulder. Oh, okay. Yeah. How about now?
No, it's both.
Well, I'm just doing, this isn't martial arts. I'm just doing a sprinter stretch, right? Or whatever the hell you call this thing. See, I don't know that much about flexibility. But, all right, so what are you going to do?
I don't know yet.
Exactly. Think about how you can create leverage and start to pressure this person face down into the floor by extending your legs, drawing your butt back and leaning forward. And it's going to be the opening that you need to start all of your attacking sequences. All right, guys. Now I'd like to get into specific entries into the omoplata position, and again, we're going to continue to touch on the concepts that we've covered. Of course, creating the opening, and then utilizing the open elbow for leverage in there. Again, making sure that we're pressuring down on the back of the humerus, drawing our hips back to counterbalance. But depending upon the type of opening you create, you're likely to enter the omoplata in a very specific manner. So when I make Seth post. Let's say I'm on this cross lapel, and this is a super common grip for omoplatas for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to allow you to pull the guy forward to get his weight off of his leg so that you can shoot it out and all that good stuff. Two, it's going to, when I do get into omoplata, and we're here and I thread, posture up. So I can make it tough. Posture up. I mean, granted, I would try harder than that to stop him getting out of there, but go back one more time. Even in an angle where Seth can get his arm out, he can't get his arm out now. So, it's a pretty cool position. Now, again, you don't want to become a gi cheater. I hate to call that, and again, there's plenty of guys. I'm not trying to, call anybody out. There's plenty of, people that utilize the heck out of the gi. The best guys use the heck out of the gi and are also fantastic with their positioning. But certain people that a lot of guys that I roll with that only train in the gi, have really serious problems with their positioning, but they'll be like this and holding, and again, I'm horrifically out of position with my body, but I can still make it a pain for you to get your arm out if I'm able to get in there. Hey, if all you ever want to do is compete in the gi, that's fine. But if you want to be able to make this stuff work under any circumstance other than the gi or anything really, and again, I would be pretty upset if I was Mundial champion and got my ass kicked by a Bama low-level MMA dude or just some regular person. Now, I don't think that's likely to occur, but the idea is simply that all that, the gold medal would feel kind of hollow. So remember, jiu-jitsu is a fighting art first and a sport art second. So it gets very important. Sport is valuable. It makes us all better. But remember what we all started training for. So when we come back, what I'm going to start with is let's rotate this away. Let's say, for instance, I decide I'm going to make Seth post. From here, I don't really have the angle. When I have to kind of thread my leg through into the more traditional omoplata, I don't have the luxury of whapping Seth off base. It can be difficult. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. But let's say I'm able to create an opening, whether from prying or I make him post. When I'm here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to drag Seth forward with the lapel. I'm going to thread my leg over his head as I push his hand into my pocket. The reason I'm pushing it into my pocket is because with his arm straight, he can retract it. The arm, right now, if you're never allowed to, do me a favor, you're unable to straighten your arm. You're not allowed in this magical situation. Get your arm out. He'll drag me. He may drag me across the room, but he's not going to get out. In order for him to get out, this has to happen. It's that simple. All right, if that has to happen, I want it to not happen. Oh yeah, here's the other thing. Structure. So bring your arm through. Okay, watch this. Now do it. So I built a structure with a straight arm, pushing against with my knuckles on the back of his wrist, pushing into my pocket. Ain't no way he's backhanding his way out of that. If I'm here, I've pushed, but it doesn't have that same structure. So just things you can consider. The principles are everywhere. But here we are. I make Seth post, whether I pry or make him post. I slide my hip underneath, bring my leg over, lock my triangle initially if you have to. The reason we'll lock a triangle in this circumstance is to post on the floor if we rotate. Because see how I'm not, if we keep going, more. See how I'm like really sideways to him? This is not what we need to do. I post and I adjust so that I'm more parallel with Seth. Alternatively, I could just do this. It really, whatever. You know, you can make the triangle. Again, what the triangle would do in this case, the purpose of this leg would be to block the back of Seth's elbow from going somewhere. Now, I can accomplish that here. What do I sacrifice? He might be able to jump over me, something like that. So what I have to remember is that my limbs can do any number of things. Hey, this would get the job done. He can't get his arm out, but I can't move. See how my hands are, rather my leg's not there for the floor, so I'd have to use my hands for the floor. So it's a replacement system. You can do almost anything do anything. I don't care how you punch the guy. Just punch the guy hard as shit. Really, as long as you do that, and it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, what was it called, this or that or the other thing? Hey, man, did you do it? Yeah, all right, fantastic. All right, if the other person is a human being, it's going to hurt. So you can move this way. You can move this way. Whatever needs to happen, but we go into our threaded situation, and I can sometimes do this if Seth's arm is out of position, just whoop, whoop, lock. I can post my hands, draw my hips back. Again, notice how my chest is forward. This is important for a couple of reasons. One, hop over me.
I can't.
Hop over me to the other side. Ugh. Bad for me. When I sat up, I got something in the way. When people don't sit up, what they do is they start to come up with answers to questions that shouldn't exist. If we come back for a second, and I got the omoplata, and I'm like, oh man, Seth jumps over me. What do I do? And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Dude, you're just gonna mow right through my arm. If you're good, the idea that I'm gonna stop a grown man chucking his weight just by sticking my arm up is a little bit silly. If he rolls forward, it'll work, but if you just blasted my arm. No, who's awesome at that move is Jake McKenzie, actually. Every single time you try to omoplata Jake, and we've been training together for years. Dude, this guy is gonna cartwheel right through your arm so freaking fast if you don't sit up. You absolutely must get something substantial in the way, like this ain't gonna get it done. So when I make my initial thread and I hit the ground, I want to sit up as quickly as I can, which one brings his head down, which actually is going to help his hop, but hop now.
Yeah, I can't.
My melon and my chest and everything else are in the way. Now, if you want to put your arm over, you can do that, but I'd really recommend being here. There is no reason for me to reach to this other side. It's just not productive, and it starts to create Seth's counter offense. I let people omoplata to me all the time, and then I counter them. Would I do that with Rafael Mendez, intentionally let him put me on omoplata? No. Would I do that with most regular level people? Yeah, absolutely. Because you can counter. Now, the difference is Mendez ain't going to do something like this. It's going to give me the opportunity to counter. So what I want you to think is stay small, lean forward, create leverage. Right now, do you feel more pressure on your arm now or now?
No.
Why? Watch. It's not about, doing this or, doing this. It's about not obstructing me putting pressure down on the back of Seth's arm. So pressure now?
Yeah.
Okay. Pressure now.
No.
So forward, whether my leg is pointed in this direction doesn't matter. It's whether my thigh is pressing down. Let me do this. Okay, yeah. We got a good omoplata now, huh? Some garbage. Sit up, please. Okay, how about now?
No.
I'm chilling. See, watch this. I'm stacking my chest on top of my elbow, on top of my knee. You ain't going nowhere. And watch, I'm just going to lean forward a little bit and force the sweep. We can do all sorts of stuff, but it's much more subtle than people make it out to be. If you go slowly and you are relaxed, what you're going to notice is that the only way you're going to control somebody is by doing it right. If I'm spazzing out and I'm going super hard and I'm like, let me put Seth in a super hard omoplata, do you like me yanking on your shoulder all day?
No.
No. So at a certain point, particularly if we're drilling, he's going to be like, all right, let me just roll. Let me just do this. Let me just do that. And people almost believe in the move and they do the move for you. I want to be relaxed enough that I can put pressure and force him to do what I want, but I don't want him to feel like he's getting hurt. I want him to feel like he has to do what I want, but I'm not going to do things in drilling that are going to create, or that are going to encourage my opponent to want to just die for the move. So one last time, thread. However I get the arm open, this is your thread. You're taking your foot all the way over, putting it kind of Indian style. So if I was sitting here, or if I'm like really Mr. Flexy and I can do my lotus thing, whatever that flexible people like to do. I didn't realize I could do that. I've actually never done that before. But the idea is making sure that I get in front of Seth's elbow. I can go here, I can post, I can do whatever. I square, I sit up. Oh, wait. Lift, lean back. Ah, this doesn't work. Drag your ass backwards. Lean forward or lean forward. Make this heavy. All right, guys. The next omoplata entry variety is my personal favorite, and this one is the slap, and it's pretty aptly named. I don't think I'm good at naming moves. I usually do. It's like that one where you use your leg to smack them. I'm like, that's the one. So when we're here, generally speaking, this is going to come out of a situation where you counter your opponent. He's a little bit closer, because if you'll notice, I'm at a distance range and I'm attacking with my feet. When Seth gets closer to me, and I'm like, here, I can smack him with my thigh, which has a lot more mass than my lower leg. So what's going on here is I'll move, and I'm creating an opening, whatever angle I'm using, and Seth tries to go for his underhook. I check him, I open my hip, and I swat my thigh down to the floor. Now from here, I'm immediately posting because my left foot is allowing me to move. I can get it here. Seth, can you start to posture up? Maybe a little bit. Can you come close to me? See, I can get his head back in. I need to manage two things. As soon as I swat him, I want my foot to block Seth's passage close to me. So as he tries to get up, I'm extending my leg, sliding my bottom one out, sitting forward. As I sit forward, it's very, very important. I'm always monitoring the position of my hips. They need to be behind my chest. If I'm here, I'll sit back. Oi. Sit back.
No.
It's not, man. It's not fake, guys. Try it out. It's all the difference here. And you can swat people's face off the mat if you want to. Like when I do this in competition, I'm trying to break your face on the mat. You know, whatever. If you don't want that to happen, underhook better or post. And if you post, it opens up all sorts of options for me. So Seth goes for his underhook. I check his head, or I check his head, or I check his head, or I check his head. It doesn't really matter. I'm maintaining the distance here, and I'm going to swat my leg. Now, as soon as I do, bring your head close to me. What's blocking? Oh, this time it's my knee. I didn't do that on purpose. It just seemed appropriate at the time. I switch my foot, get to my elbow, scoot my hips back, and make sure that there's positive pressure down on his shoulder. This is garbage. This is correct. This is actually garbage. Can you lift me up? That's that invisible jiu-jitsu crap you may or may not have been hearing about. You can't look at a picture and tell if this is right. That's the cool thing. This is right. Sit up. This is not. You can only feel it. Your partner's your best friend. So you want to make sure that you're holding this person in such a way that they don't feel like you're going to injure them. And I'm not like squeezing my ass off and doing stuff. I hate to drill with most people. I absolutely hate it. Which is why I drill with very few people. Because again, what you end up with is a tweaked arm or something like that, and they get no better at the move. Get the position down and the pressure. So all you get used to is holding this person in place in such a way that they can't flip around you. They have to flip forward. So you can't lift me up, right, Seth?
No.
You can't jump across me because I'm in the way, right? And my chest is in the way. All right. Can you go to your left?
No.
Not really. So kind of where's your only option?
Rolling forward.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's almost like I knew that. Well, what are his options like now? Well, now he could roll forward all of a sudden and do it. I doubt he would. I'm like, shit, he got away from me. Because who has ever had that happen? When they roll forward super fast, and whoa, what happened? And they turn around and end up back in your guard. Or Seth just all of a sudden rips me back over. And I'm like, oh, no. Because of my position, and then turns to face and gets back in my guard. Because I haven't pigeonholed him with my pressure here, again, I know I'm beating this position, I'm beating this idea to death, but I can't overstate the importance of it. All I'm doing is making sure that he has no choice but to do exactly what I want. And oh, wait, does it have anything to do with my foot being here? No. All right, lift me up.
Can't.
Tough. And if I feel like, and again, Steph and I are the same size, so let me do this. Now, Brock Lesnar ain't lifting me up. My foot's all the way back here. Okay, roll, please. Fantastic. I'm going to control this position. Turn and double leg me.
Can't get my arm out.
Can't get his arm up. He told you himself. All right, so underhook me.
Again, I can't get my arm out.
Okay, turn and get up. Oh, man. Oh, dude, Seth is so strong. No, Ryan doesn't know how to do the position. Make sure that you have heavy pressure on that upper arm the entire time, and you are gold. All right, guys. Now that we've kind of gotten a lot of the positioning and the entries down in your omoplata, I want to start to discuss how to sweep. Again, this isn't an omoplata DVD. There's much more we could cover on that end. You know, there's also other resources out there for that. What I'm most concerned about is that you guys, you know, really see the driving force, or what we believe to be the driving force behind this entire thing, and that is, again, the open elbow. Seth, do me a favor, just put your arm down like this. All right, watch. When I have this arm, I yank his ass anywhere. And that's the idea. Watch, no arm, and now I can pull him and I can move him, but I don't have the luxury of this big old lever with which I can move Seth. And oh yeah, like think about all that cop shit that doesn't work, but you know, like where I can like yank your arm. Well, it does work when I have my leg threaded through there and we're on the ground. So when I have the advantage of this open elbow, I can move you all over the place. So what I want to show now is how to sweep forward, back, and also to the side, moving your opponent based on where he goes. So if here I am, and right now I've gotten myself into the omoplata position, but I've created the open elbow, but I'm not utilizing it right now. And that's the problem. Like, I can be in the open elbow space as I am, but it's not doing anything. So I have to feel pressure.
No.
You feel torque on your arm.
Not at all.
All right, well then nothing's occurring. That's like I'm hitting you, but you're invulnerable. Then what's the point of me hitting you? So what I want to think about doing is being able to cause some level of damage in a way that's going to move my opponent around the room. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to post on him, on the ground, whatever. I can rock my feet forward. I scoop my butt backwards, start to sit up. Now from here, with pressure down on Seth's shoulder, if I'm able to start to project my body into space, and this is a mistake that people make. Oh yeah, by the way, if you ever get someone in omoplata and you're drilling, please, for the love of God, let them out like this. Feels like the sort of thing you wouldn't have to say, but having been the victim of someone trying to let me out of the omoplata by standing up, like going like, oh, cool. You know, we've actually, if you've been in jiu-jitsu for a long time, someone is almost certainly, like a very well-intended and a little bit clueless white belt has done that to you. Man, that sucks. So please, when you're drilling this, if you're drilling this with someone you don't know, remind them, get up going backwards. But here we are in the omoplata. I'm pressuring forward with my thigh. Again, the key is not this. This initially allows me to lean forward. I can roll my leg out of the way if I want. As I start to get up, and I'm projecting it. When I say get up, I'm not like, I can't move. No, just do like the evolution of man. Start to walk forward. I come forward, and that forces Seth to roll. Notice how I'm still in small position, because really, this is going to take us back to disc 2. And I'm like, oh, wait a second, where am I? Look at this. Look at Seth's open elbow. If I'm like, oh, sweet, omoplata. Well, what a giant mess up by me. Hey, I'm still in relatively alright position, but on a guy like Seth, man, I'm not trying to let him back out of there. That sucks. I'm going from you're screwed to now you've got defense. If a good guy knows how to have defense, it's bad. So watch. I touch my knee to the ground, and I occupy. So again, as I swept, I'm like, all right, cool. I came up. I'm projecting forward. My knee is going to touch down in a blocking place, because again, if I have no pressure, just suck your elbow in. I'm like, that sucks, no good. My knee touches inside the shoulder-ish, you know, as long as you're not letting the elbow in. And I hold the space. Now, that's option 1. If we come back for a second. All right, the threat of option 1 gets me to option 2. So I say, Seth, would you rather have me shoot you in the face or punch you really, really hard in the nuts? Well, getting punched really hard in the nuts never sounded better, honestly, if you think about it. So the threat of the first, and I go, okay, I'm pressuring, and Seth recognizes that if I get him all the way down here, sit up.
Not having it.
It's too late. He can't allow this to happen. Now he's got to be worried about getting finished, all that stuff. So in my initial, like, as I start to sit up, he starts to rock backwards. I am sensitive to this. I'm feeling my hips suck forward and my chest go backwards. I'm going to accelerate the motion and drop into, hey, the exact same spot. Is it really important? I'm like, oh man, grip here, grip there. Yeah, that shit kind of matters, but it's more of the feel that allows this stuff to work. That's why most people have to train for 15 years to get good at something, because they practice the wrong way and then, you know, they eventually develop feel rather than intentionally developing feel. At least that's been my experience. So watch, again, same deal. Occupy that space. I can go do whatever. So remember, the threat of going forward is what made Seth go no, and rather than, remember, I'm in the omoplata, I'm going to win. No, Ryan, you are on the bottom. Seth is in charge. All right? If he's half my size, if I'm wrestling small women or you know, fighting kids, all right, maybe that's a little bit of a different story. But that you don't win too many titles doing that. Intergender champion is not a sought-after title. So what we're looking for, well, maybe it is. I don't know. Depends. All right. So As I pressure forward, Seth starts to lean back, so I rock back. Dropping, staying small. Close your elbow.
Can't.
Well, what's wrong with this position? Nothing. I'm like, close your elbow. I'm fine. I can do anything. I drop into position and I control. So again, the threat of A got me to B. If we come back one more time, I'm here, pressuring. Seth leans back. I sort of rock back. He recognizes, uh-oh. Wow, I sat up Indian style. Who cares, man? Do you feel pressure on your shoulder?
Yes.
All right, great. Then I'm doing it right. I sit right here. Can you sit up? Can you turn to face me? So that double leg is coming, right?
Nope.
No, it's not. Correct, because I'm sitting here with the open elbow, controlling the lever, and that's when you can do stuff like this, where you're just like, and you finish. So last little thing that we can mess with is, again, because we've done front and back, what about left and right? You know, I got pressure, back, and I'm like, man, I don't know about this. I'm going to post, I'm going to drag my ass all the way this way. I can bring him down. If he drops, he's toast. Seth knows that if he drops, he's toast. So he may start to lean back the other way, at which point I drive off the floor and I go, yay, and I hop all the way over him. Guess where? To exactly the same spot. And I sit into the position. So there's a lot that can be done with this. You can go to this move, that move. There's so many little like personal little pieces of flair that you can throw on there, depending upon you know what you're looking to accomplish and what sport you're in and stuff like that. But the idea is being able to threaten front, back, left, and right, and being able to create the pressure that you need to make this whole thing happen. If you can do that, you can absolutely use this position effectively. All right, guys. I want to get into just a couple little details about finishing the omoplata. Not really what it's all about here, but you know, it is important to understand how you're going to use this position to eventually put the guy away. Even though, again, at the end of the day, if you can control me, even if you just finally just go and squeeze my neck, you'll make something happen. Now, when I get Seth into the omoplata position, I open his elbow. So again, you know, whether I made him post or I caught him coming in and I threaded, and again, notice again the open elbow I've turned all the way away. Right now, Seth is going to try to close his elbow, and the way he's right now, can you close your elbow with your arm?
No.
No, but watch his head come through here. Bring your head forward. Sarah kind of squares his body up. So when we're here, and I'm like, all right, cool, and he circles in, and his elbow closes. I'm like, ah, shit, look at that. I've still got a wedge in here, but he's strong, and that's the issue. So again, the omoplata is not the omoplata. The omoplata is an expression of the open elbow. So I go, and I keep that thing open, and I immediately endeavor to maintain the opening in the elbow by blocking Seth's head. Bring your head through now. Ain't happening. All right, I scoot backwards, draw away, I try to get up. Now, finishing, if I can get myself to here, finishing is not that much of a trouble. What I want to avoid doing is this. This is how I learned the omoplata initially. This is not what you do. This is just bad news. I want you guys to start to reel other guy in by his kimono, and we're going to have two grips that we're going to use. I'm going to lock underneath Seth's arm. Now, Seth, if he's smart, watch, close that elbow up. He's not going to have that arm out there. Wow. Damn it. I wish Seth were stupid enough that I could just use this move. Wait a minute, I got an idea. How can I get him to open that arm? I drag him. He says no, and he goes back the other way, and I push. Now, he doesn't want to get knocked. You don't want to get knocked over, do you? So I post, and I say, thanks, bud. Keep that arm in. All right. Mount, triangle, jump all the way to the other side. You're screwed. So I say, how can I make him do what I want? Not when he opens his defense randomly. Oh, I'm going to be lying in wait. It never goes that way. Drag him, utilizing the lever of the open elbow. He hops away, drive, up, got him. Now, I'm pressuring forward with my hips. Again, moving into space. I'm not dragging back. I'm going to grip tight, no question. But I'm projecting my body the same way. Roll, please, so I don't hurt. All I'm doing is this, and I'm not letting him roll. So if we come back, one, projecting, and you're going to be able to finish the omoplata. Now, option 2 on this is going to come with the lapel grip. So that's a gi, no gi transferable thing. This next one is kind of gi only. The finish end position is not gi only, but the initial grip is. So here I am in my omoplata again. Notice how my hips are forward. Is that wrong? No, not necessarily, but it's not going to allow me to put pressure on Seth's shoulder, so I'm not making adequate uses of the lever here. So again, I've got the position, but I'm not utilizing the lever. I draw backwards, that pressures. Now what I want to do is I'm going to open Seth's lapel, bring it close, grip, and close my elbow. Why? Because look, unforced errors. Tennis. I like tennis. Actually, I don't like tennis. It's neat, but I'm so horrifically bad at it that I literally get pissed off and I can't play it. So what happens though? There's a phrase in there that I love. It's called unforced errors. An unforced error is something that I do. When I play tennis, I make everything is an unforced error. You just you volleyed the ball to me, I put it over the fence. And I'm like, well, you didn't make me do that. I did that. Okay, great. Now, unforced errors are unacceptable. If I go here and I'm like, all right, and then Seth counters me, hey, sweet counter by Seth. Yo, I did that to myself. All right, there is no counter now. You may get away, but look at my body. What are you going to do to counter me? There's nothing. So when I'm here, I control, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm pressuring. Sit up, please.
Can't.
Rock backwards. I'm like, uh-oh. I have no, if we scoot forward a little bit, I have nothing behind me holding me up. So I may decide to post my hand to allow my hip to draw back. Now I can replace my leg, so I have some drive, and I can roll. But now, from here, is there anything stopping your roll?
Not really.
No, so that's the initial issue. When I roll Seth initially, he's on his knees. I'm going to roll again, so now that he's on his butt. When he's on his butt, he can't move. This is the best. Reel him in by his lapel. Now I catch the far side. From here, in order to finish, I usually take a free hand. You can have the lock, but a lot of times they have the lapel, so you hold the back of the collar, post your foot, and gently, please, I'm going to draw my hips away. I'm not scooting like a crazy person. I'm not chucking my hips. I'm drawing them away. Now notice this elbow, I need to create separation because Seth just walk with me as I go away. Oh, well that's actually not what I want. I'm going to use my elbow here as a check against him as I draw my hips back because everything is relative. If I push you at 5 miles per hour and you are going backwards at 5 miles per hour, effectively I did nothing. I have to make sure that I'm holding you in place as I draw your arm away because if Seth comes with me, it's two things moving in space, we might as well have stayed put. Check, elbow, lapel, withdraw, finish. So the framework is the same, man. I'm moving guy around. I can bring him forward. I know how to create pressure here, pressure there. I can make you do what I want. I remember when I was blue belt, I relied on people making mistakes. And it was great. And it happened a lot. They did that a lot, and I capitalized. But I wasn't very good at forcing a mistake. When you get to a higher level of experience, what you do is you start to understand how you're going to pressure people and get them to do the wrong thing. You're going to put them in situations where they make errors rather than just waiting for them to do something foolish enough for you to capitalize. All right, guys. Now we're going to move on to the last thing we're going to do with the omoplata, which is going to be advanced finishing. Again, the key is the open elbow and the control that it gives us over other guy so that I can move him. It's not, oh, I have this open elbow and then I'm going to launch attacks from it. No, I utilize it to mess your day up, make you do what I want, and then once you're doing that, I will finish appropriately. So what I'm looking to do, actually, when I have this on one side, this is cool, but what if I can create this on the other side too? Well, now you're in kind of double trouble. So... And remember, when we have this position, the beauty of the open elbow is, hey, it's not just, I mean, I am absolutely using it to control the rest of your body, but, oh yeah, if you screw up, I will kind of take your shoulder off. So this is where we're going to look to. Seth is blocking. He's really controlled and concerned about his base. Right now, if you think about it, I'm not even in good omoplata position right now, but the idea is, let's say, for instance, I push you that way, and he doesn't want to fall. What's he going to do with his hand? He's going to post it. If you don't want to use your hand, what do you have to use? One or the other, period. If I'm able to control you enough to make you move, and that's the key, I'm making you move. I'm guiding you into what I want you to do. I'm not going like, okay, all right, so Steph, stay in good position. Should I drop back down? And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get him. No, I'm gonna start to move you here, move you there, move you here, drag you backwards, move it backwards. Aha. I'm looking to immediately take my threaded leg, the triangling leg, and I'm putting it under Seth's chin. Every now and then you can get it over their head. And here, this sucks too for Seth. But the idea is I'm anchoring on the far side. And what this is going to allow me to do is shoulder lock Seth on the near side. So I made him post. I'm going to pop my hands to the floor and I'm going to start to draw away. See how this is opening Seth's elbow? My hip is forcing his hand to lift. Dropping, 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 dropping. We can finish. So let's say I got myself into the omoplata. I'm pressuring. I'm having a hard time moving. I'm going here. And I'm like, look at that hand. Gotcha. Just push my foot down.
I can't get to it.
See, I'm extending my leg and I'm glued onto his armpit. If I'm here, push my foot down. That's a different story. Oh yeah, and by the way, if that happens, I'm gonna pull you to me. Gotcha. Make you move, make you post, hands to the floor. Don't sit here and try to kick and extend. Watch, it's very simple. Draw your ass back, lean forward and be like, what's going on over there? And he's pretty stuck. Now this works here. This also works with the leg. If Seth decides to put his leg up, all I'm looking for is a hook on the other side. So we scoot back to center a little bit. I have the open elbow. I'm moving this way, moving that way. I'm creating torque and pressure. Gotcha. Push my foot out. All right. It's not impossible, but it's going to be tough. Oh yeah, and by the way, by the time he's doing that, I post, draw away. And again, that one kind of comes on with a great deal of force. You have to be very, very flexible and not have this bother you. So I scoot away. Okay, so if Seth goes on me, he's caught me in omoplata. I'm like, all right, notice this grip. What's he using it for? As we described before, I can't get up. I'm like, post, makes me move. I'm pretty flexible. This sucks. When he makes that counterpoint on the other side, he can stretch my base out to the point where I'm going a fat lot of nowhere. And from there, if I can't move and adjust, it's very, very, very easy for you to hurt my joints. All right, guys. We went into an in-depth study of the omoplata, or pretty in-depth at least, study of the omoplata. Because it's a very, very powerful form of control that involves the the open elbow that you're going to use all the dang time from the bottom position. But, again, as we mentioned before, it's by no means the only expression of this. So what I'd like to do in the next portion of the series is just kind of illustrate a bunch of different possibilities for you. We don't have time to go into 1,000 different moves and 10-step explanations for all of them. But the idea is just getting your mind jump-started on that path so you can say, hey, how does this apply to this game or that game or my position here or this position there, and start to understand things a little bit better. And hopefully hopefully you'll be able to make a difference in your game, and I really believe that it will. So we're going to start from the seated guard again. And what's going to happen here, guys, is just I'm going to force Seth to post. When he posts, there's an opening in his defense. If I try to go underneath Seth's arm right now, he's not having it. One more time. Not having it. I'm like, well, why can he stop me? Well, one, Seth knows what to do, and two, he's got the resources to do it. He's in a good position. So I go, well, how do I beat Seth? Because he knows what to do. Well, I guess I can't win. Well, unless, of course, I'm able to take away his capacity to do what he knows how to do. So whether I have the lapel or whether I have the collar tie, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull him forward, I'm going to make him post. Now, it's important when I do this, I understand what's going on, because if I rock back like this, it's not, well, one, I'm going to pull onto me, and see how Seth just slid right forward in the position? I'm not likely to kind of create a good scenario there. Two, if I go to the side, see how far away my head is from his leg, or rather from his arm? There's no way I'm getting underneath there. I may be able to reach with an omoplata, but it's going to be tough. What I want to do here is I'm going to stay close, and I'm going to shift. I'm going to pull him forward, and then I'm going to tilt him. Immediately, I'm ducking my head underneath of his arm with posture. I cannot express, strongly enough how important posture is here. If I just go venturing out with my neck, like, oh yeah, let me do this. Yeah, this is called a guillotine. There's a subtle difference between a duck under and a guillotine. Guillotine is like this. Duck under is like this. If you are not bending my neck, you ain't guillotining me, homie. If you do, well, I'm in a lot of trouble. Because if you bend my neck, I'm not ducking under on you. So I'll check, and I can move, and I pull him, and there we go, and I duck underneath. Now from here, with my head, I'm using it to keep him hooked to me, and I'm going to rock Seth backwards, taking his knees off the ground. I spin him, rotating onto his back, so that I have one hook in. And now with that hook, I drop him right into my lap for the back, lock my seatbelt, and carry on. So I snap, move, trying to get him to go, post, and I duck under. Notice, again, my back is straight, my head is up. I'm holding on with my right arm here, so pull away. It's going to be difficult. I'm going to rock back into my butterfly guard. rotate him with my right hook, allowing his right knee to drop. It's on my left side as I lift his left. Immediately, I drop my hook to his ankle, thread. Now from here, I don't want him all the way up high. I'm going to shoot him down towards my hips, lock my seatbelt. Well, we can do this proactively, but what happens when other guy decides to attack on his own? Well, that's why it's important to have good defense. Good defense is like a trap. And a good trap example is Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator. Because if you remember, he had first the mud, and then he had the arrow, and then he had other stuff, and then he had the big old tree that eventually killed the Predator monster. But basically, so I'm sitting here, and this time I'm like, come on, I'm here, come on, kill me. And he goes right into the trap. Because the Predator monster is not that bright, even though he's smart enough to avoid the initial knife death thing. But really, this is the same position. What's the difference? Head is up. Go like this. Guillotine. Heads up. Rocking back. Rotate. Shooting forward. Onto the back. And then I drop the tree on him. And then if he starts laughing like, when you're in the rear naked choke, I would recommend letting go because he's probably about to detonate a nuclear explosion that there's no way you could possibly escape from in time to jump down that 400-foot waterfall and inexplicably survive. All right. The next attack, guys, that we're going to be utilizing is just a counter off of your opponent passing your guard. This is something, I hit a lot in training, both in grappling and in MMA. I hit it in competition once, I think. But somebody else that's very, very good at this attack is Jeff Glover. And it's going to be the Bravo. I use the Bravo all the dang time, but this particular setup is one that I think I actually learned from Jeff first, and it's just become an interesting move, but it illustrates a point here. So I want to show you guys, let's say Seth is knee through passing my guard, and notice how his elbow's close, and he goes and passes. I'm like, all right, time to do my move. Wrong, I'm squashed, it's just not happening. What I'm going to do is, as Seth passes, I'm maintaining control of the distance between us with my left hand, and I'm putting my right hand in between me and him so that I can make a wedge. Now, as he goes, I'm turning my chin away from Seth. If I like this, I get caught under his shoulder on his chest. I'm looking away, and I'm crunching my head in. I'm making the smallest profile that I can. I'm going to bump him with my arm. But again, you're not chucking this dude with your arm. It's more that I'm driving and walking my body away. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm holding onto his shoulder as I start to sit up, lock my hands, raise up, and look to finish. It's a super bummer for other guy because things seem to be going really well, and then all of a sudden they're not. So Seth's on bottom for a second. So I'm passing. He's got the check on me. Again, he doesn't have to make this check, but if you don't have it, very quickly, shoulder gets down here. And a lot of times people think that they're going to just walk and spin underneath, and it's like, nah. I'm going to just keep my weight by your hips. You want to get my mass up by your shoulders so that I go past you. Because once we're up here, you can go out the bottom. When I'm down here, going out the bottom is very, very difficult. So Seth makes that check. I start to cut through. See how as he walks, my elbow gets away from my body. He's turning his chin. Super important. I cannot express, strongly enough how important it is to turn this way. Look towards me. All right, keep walking.
No, gross.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, chest hair. No, that's why. I mean, again, Sean Connery would be proud. If you shave your chest, I don't know about all that. Ain't gonna happen. So anyway, Seth walks away, gets his head out of the hole, and I go, oh crap, and I'm locked up into the Bravo position. So, you notice what happens here. Oh no, the Bravo, check out that, oh wait, open elbow. So really all you're doing, guys, is capitalizing on, on an exposure for your opponent, whether you're able to pry it open or just sucker him in. If you want to see more about, this particular position, you can check out, Jeff's matches. You can check out my matches. You can see any number of people are dangerous with the Bravo. But, we in the arm triangles, we go pretty in-depth into this position. But if you notice, every arm triangle has this. All right, guys. The next move we're going to use is called the hippopotamus because it's funny sounding. It was that or the hippoplatypus, but I think the hippopotamus is better. Seems like the thing to do. It's kind of an omoplata. It is actually an omoplata. It uses your hips. You're attacking from the turtle, and this is one of many, many, many ways that you can use this particular position. I use this religiously. in MMA, and it's in grappling as well, but people just kind of approach it a little bit differently a lot of times. So now, when Seth is on turtle on top, what I'm going to look to do is kind of create some distance and open his elbow, because again, if there's no vulnerability, it doesn't matter what I know how to do, I can't do anything. So Seth, you're on top of turtle here. He's controlling. I'm staying compact. I don't want it to get into my lapels, and I don't want it to start to try to be able to climb on my back. So notice I'm close knee to elbow here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to force Seth to roll. Right now, I can do it one of two ways. Sometimes I can create space by walking, but if you notice, Seth's probably going to follow me because there's nothing stopping him from doing it. Hey, if other dude doesn't follow you, that's cool, but he should. Seth should be able to follow me. So what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to switch my grip, my defense for my neck is my left hand coming across. My right hand is going to go into my back pocket in between me and Seth. Again, I'm not pushing a grown man off me with a backhanded like pimp slap kind of motion. It doesn't work that way. I go here and I make a check and I walk my body away. So hold tight. You can try to hold on. And now as I walk, see how it opens his elbow? Now we have all sorts of space. I have space to move, and Seth has vulnerability. I've created a lever to his body. The biggest mistake people make with the Granby roll in this position, or the hippopotamus, if as it were, is to really try to roll into the other guy. Again, what am I, twice your size? If I'm twice your size, yeah, maybe me chucking my weight into you does something. If you have any base at all, though, it does not. So, Seth's on top. I'm here, controlling the inside. I walk away, and I drop these on him. It's very important. So when you drop D's.
D's?
No, D's hips, man. Get your mind out of the gutter, dude. That's ridiculous. So I drop D's hips on him, and that forces his elbow to move. What were you thinking of? Anyway, so when I roll Seth by walking away, notice how I'm pressuring his elbow the entire time. My hand has switched from defending my neck to, as soon as my neck is no longer concerned, I'm looking away and I'm Granby rolling across my shoulders. I'm on top of his elbow. You can sit up, right?
No.
Wow, does this remind you of that omoplata position? That's crazy. It's so weird. Maybe we did that for a reason. So, Seth, if you start to sit up,
I can't.
you can't. So what are you going to do?
I'll probably roll.
Could you roll, please? Thanks, buddy. Where am I? In the elbow. He can't really move. Can you get up?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
Yep. This is absolutely one of my favorite moves. So if we come back again, I make my check. When you get the hang of this, a lot of times I don't even block with my hands, to be honest. If I'm going to sit here, I better block with my hands, otherwise I'm going to get choked with the quickness. But if I block and I look away, and I check, and I stop you from rolling, which I can do with my hands, by the way. But right now, what's most important is that I'm relaxed. If I'm like, oh, sweet. Uh-oh. I took my weight off. Seth no longer has the open elbow. I lose the position. Could you go back for 1 second? Seth's got his hand down. I'm like, yawn. I'm like, okay. You can jump over me, right? I can stop him from doing all that just by laying on his arm. Do you still feel pressure on your arm?
It's stuck.
Yep. I move and I control the position. The hippopotamus is a sweet move, and one of those few things we've actually come up with a name for. All right, the next attack with the hippopotamus, which I'm going to repeat as often as I possibly can because it's entertaining for whatever reason. I guess that's kind of the function of doing this all week. But is going to be forcing your opponent to roll, or rather get stuck. He doesn't want to roll. I'm going to come to the top of the turtle, go behind, take the back. So, Seth's on top. Turtle, I'm protecting. I want to spend as little time just chilling out here as I possibly can. Right hand goes in between me and Seth as I walk away. Keep your feet on the ground. Do not just go, and try to chuck yourself. It does not work. You get yanked down by anybody worth a damn. You must keep your feet on the ground so that you can continually apply pressure and adjust your angle. Walk, walk, walk. I'm blocking Seth, or Seth's just not feeling like rolling, and I'm having a difficult time doing it. Now, really, if I push his hip, I can probably make it happen, particularly in the gi. No gi, it may not be that lucky, though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to maintain pressure for as long as I possibly can. My inside hand is going to drop towards the turtle position. My outside hand is looking already at his other elbow. As I come to the top, I'm leaning on Seth, transitioning front headlock, pulling forward. start to move behind. So I'm either A, able to turn guy, or I'm not. If I can, hey, that's fantastic. I end up in side control. If I can't, hey, whatever. I'm going to end up on the top of the turtle. What I can't do is, again, spaz out and try to just flip over. All of this stuff with the open elbow takes, it's a skill guy's game, you know? Some people never develop skill. Doesn't mean they can't be tough, but they don't train in a way that's designed to develop the ability to transition and move. And hey, that's cool, but that's kind of like the equivalent of being incredibly powerful, like having big, powerful hands, but you brawl your ass off. Hey, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want to get hit by that person. Well, I don't think anybody would want to get hit by that person, but that guy is never going to be a high-level professional. It's just going to peter out at a certain point. What I need you guys to do is stay relaxed enough to be able to be in control of your weight and be aware of where your weight is so that you can adjust and kind of use your pressure not as like a blunt instrument, but as a scalpel. So I have my block. I look away, walk away to open Seth's elbow, drop. Pressure. Can you sit up?
No.
Could I try to wrist lock?
Yes.
No one's going to tap to this. Well, maybe, but that'd be entertaining. But I think their pride would stop them from tapping to it at a certain point if they have any. Am I still heavy?
Yes.
Tell them when the weight comes off. Circle. Front headlock. Still pressure?
Yep.
And from here I can go to seatbelt, I can spiral them, any number of different things that we've covered elsewhere. But the idea is, again, attacking your opponent through the open elbow, making sure that we keep pressure on the back of the humerus, keeping him pinned to the floor for as long as we possibly can. If we're able to accomplish that, we're going to be able to relocate our position significantly without him being able to do much of a lot about it. All right, so now I'm going to be looking to utilize the same idea of the hip omoplata or the hippopotamus from the open guard. It took me a while to get the hang of this. The first person I ever started doing this is Leo Vieira at ADCC in 2007 in the final against Haniaya. It was really, really cool to see him attacking with this, and a former student of Leo's, Andre Goval, is just great with this style of attack. And I've had a lot of success with it as well. I really, really like it. I don't think I claim to be as good as they are, but definitely it's something I like a lot and has a lot of value. So this time I'm going to be in my open guard. Whether it's, usually it's a little bit of a tighter position. Sometimes it'll be shin across the hips or, again, your shell. I play from my shell all the time with this position. Like just here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start letting Seth fall into position. See, I started with my foot on top of his shoulder. Or not on top, in front of his shoulder, and he's pressuring, and I go, wabam, and I make him fall. What I want to do is guide Seth's hand here, and I don't want him crushing into me because I get stuck. If we come back, I'm going to time this. So we go crushing, and immediately I start extending my body. I'm elongating my hip, and this is a little bit of a tougher move for lankier guys, I think. If you have a shorter femur, you can get it into space easier. But again, once you get the hang of it, it's not tough at all. I'm rotating, and I'm getting my knee in between me and Seth. So my hip is forcing his elbow open. If we come back, pressure forward. I elongate my body. Knee blocks. Close your head to your elbow.
I can't.
Close your elbow to your body.
I can't.
From here, sit up.
I can't.
This is such a cool move, it's not even funny. Anytime you hit it, you feel like a freaking ninja. I'm going to take my leg out. And look where I'm at. Crucifix, kind of Marcelo Garcia style. Crucifix, open elbow style. And we can look to finish. So, details on this little deal. Different angle. So I'm playing again. I can play it at distance. I can play it shin across. I can play it shell. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. Depends on what I'm phrase. It matters, but it matters on. You can use any of them. You just have to get used to how you're going to apply the range. I make Seth fall, and I make him run into a wall. If we come back, watch this. Crunch in. See how this space is real small? I'm like, man, I can't do much of that. We come back. We're here. I want him to drive with his arm and run into a wall. I catch, and I'm pinning. I am not gripping the shit out of his hand. I'm holding it so it doesn't go anywhere. I'm rotating, catching. Roll, please.
I can't. This is blocking me.
Exactly. My right leg is denying him the ability to roll. Now, all at once, I'm going to take my leg out and raise up. Blocking either, if we circle, Kimura or seatbelt. I like Kimura. You know, I'm whatever floats your boat though. If we catch, forcing the roll, shift away, on triangle, or rather regular triangle. You can go back into the entire deal. So the omoplata with the hip is a really, really valuable position that you can use from all over the place. But you guys see again, the open elbow is the key. All right, guys. The next sequence that we're going to do is also going to start from the turtle position, you know, as a couple of the hip omoplatas did. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to control my opponent's ability to lock his hands. Because if he locks his hands, he can compress pretty well. If I deny him that, it takes a significant amount of skill to control me, which, again, plenty of people are tough, but most of them are not technicians. So if I am the technical guy, I need to find ways to stop you from being strong guy effective. And stopping you from locking your hands is a big one. So when Seth is on top in the turtle position, my initial concern right now, I don't feel like if both hands are under, I'm not worried about getting my back taken. You know, not too much. He's got to climb over my shoulders and stuff. As he looks to do that, I have my arm hunting and waiting for his hand. Notice if we come back, I have a defensive grip ready for him. He shoots that hand in, boom, I caught it. Now immediately what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this arm away from me and I'm going to walk backwards off it. I'm not sitting here and punching it out like, because I'm not strong enough, but I'm making a shell with my back and keeping it away. Now, as I post this hand on the ground, I'm going to rotate and duck out. What this does, this opens Seth's left side. So even if you grip super tight with your left hand, no problem at all. I'm immediately going to control his hip and snap it to the floor, climbing over myself to get into my seatbelt. Controlling, I'm like, all right, this isn't where I want to be, but I stay calm, I stay cool. He can't just take my back, by the way. It doesn't work that way. So don't worry about like, oh my God, you can get your back taken. Yeah, if I'm cool and calm and I'm ready to counter, I should be fine. If I freak out and I just start to roll around or try to get up, very different story. I'm ready and waiting, caught him. Boom, immediately. Start to raise up to make more space. I can make space left to right, but all I'm going to do is use my legs to build my structure under him. Rotate, go behind. Immediately, I snap his hip to the floor, lock my seatbelt, attack before Seth gets his defenses in. Look to finish immediately. One more time. So here, I'm controlling, I'm moving. Trap the arm, finish. All right, guys. The next variation on this particular movement that we were just working on, the duck under from the bottom of the turtle, is going to go into the double leg attack on our opponent when he tries to square up on us. Because when I open your elbow, I have a window to your back. So you go, oh shit, and you square up to me. Well, when you square up, you're very, very vulnerable to something else. If I get stubborn and I try to force one thing to happen, a lot of times it's very difficult to make that work. If I'm open to different possibilities and I cultivate multiple different reactions and attacks based on how you respond to me, that's how the better guys do it. So there we are. I'm in turtle position and Seth is looking to attack with his left arm again. I'm blocking. I have my defensive grip. I make space so that I have room to move. Because if I'm here and his arms are closed, there's nothing for me. So I'm making space by expanding my body. Now again, I post and I duck. I'm rotating. So here's my motion. I make space, I step up with my inside leg, and I rotate. I have to make room for my body to turn, because right now I'm like, I can't turn, I feel stuck. No worries. I can open to that side. Oop, I can open to that side. So he blocks, or rather I block as he attacks. Seth recognizes that he's in a lot of trouble. If we start this for a second. If he stayed down facing away, I immediately come up to the back. But he recognizes he's in trouble, he squares. So immediately stay up, go back. I'm immediately getting into my double leg position. Now from here, depending upon what Seth does, I may go to the back, I may cut the corner. If you drop this side, some people are awkward as shit when you wrestle them. Bring this knee down. I may cartwheel him. again, there's no single finish on the double leg. If he's leaning one way, I drop him that way. If he's leaning the other way, I drop him the other way. If he goes over me, I might duck under and go to Iranian. There's any number of different things we could finish with. But the idea is I'm prepared to chop Seth's balance this way, or as I get into the double, Seth brings his back the other way, I put my head down, and I hop over. At all times, I'm protecting my position. If we come back, so I'm like, all right, boom, I catch, I shoot. Seth tries to square up, climbing, moving, immediately coming to get him. If we come back again, catch, leans the other way, we circle, this way. He starts trying to drop his hips on my head. I let it happen. Climb up and control the position immediately. I am always responsive to my opponent. I'm always relaxed, and I'm always going. I say, hey, I'm gonna kick your ass. And he's like, oh yeah? I'm like, yeah. How? I don't know yet. You tell me. And I'm responding to what you're doing, knowing that provided that I give you the right response and I go to the right position at the right time, I will always beat you. Doesn't mean that I'm going to beat you. It means that if I do the right move at the right time, I will always beat you. So I try to be as open to that as possible. All right, guys. The last attack that we're going to be utilizing here is going to be defense to the single leg, going in and opening our opponent's elbow. Now, this can be done a number of different ways, and there's other different, rather opening the elbow and defending the single leg can be done in a number of different ways. But the basic idea here is that I'm creating vulnerability, and then I'm rolling for the single. If you think, obviously, that, I always have to ask myself, like every now and then people will try to scam me out of something, or I'm sure it's happened to you guys too. And it reminds you, sometimes you're impressed. Like even if the other person gets you, it's like, damn. Well, I don't like it, but I can't say that what you did was not intelligently executed. And then there's other people that are just freaking retarded, and sometimes they just don't seem to know that. And they'll be like, oh man, I'm gonna pull a fast one on you. And you're like, Ryan, you gotta understand, man, what you're doing is pretty much the equivalent of what my 7-year-old nephew does when I say, hey, did you eat dinner? And he goes, yeah, of course. And I'm like, so you want to have cake? And he's like, yeah, did you eat your dinner? Oh, yeah. And I think that I'm putting one over on you. Well, that's kind of like thinking that I'm the first person that's ever come up with the idea of rolling from the single leg. So Seth gets on the single, and I'm like, man, I don't wrestle very well, but I do jiu-jitsu. Watch this. I'm gonna plot to this guy. Yeah. You're like, well, I just swept myself, and now I'm on the bottom. So you really got to understand, you got to set the person up. I can't just expect to do anything to anyone decent. I have to take you out of position. So Seth's on a single leg. Again, most jiu-jitsu players suck at wrestling. Why? Because they don't wrestle. Most wrestlers suck at grappling, or like jiu-jitsu. Why? Because they don't actually do it. So, there's nothing in life that I've ever met anybody that's really, really, no one is ever good at anything that they don't do. People always talk about somebody with natural talent, like, oh man, this guy's talented. Well, that's cool. That means he's really good for 3 months in, but he's not actually good. So what I want you guys to think about is when you're talking about someone that's experienced, you have to take them out of position. Again, I've beaten this to death elsewhere, and I'm going to beat it again to death here. Here we are, Seth's on the single leg. Unless he is jiu-jitsu guy, let's rotate. More, so they can see your elbow. Okay, so stretch yourself out, like way out of position. All right, well, not quite that much. All right, but this is like jiu-jitsu single leg a lot of times, and it's just like, really? Like, really, man? And I'm serious. I'm not trying to, I know this because I was that guy. And I was prototypical based on the rules of jiu-jitsu because you don't have to wrestle to be effective in those tournaments. Well, all right. Just a straight-up roll is going to get you. But that's like me walking up in front of you like this and you just punch me in the face. Yeah, because I got no freaking defense. You can just punch me in the face. But if I understand how to protect myself, you have to actually make me vulnerable. So here's what we're looking to do. Seth is starting. He's in on the single leg. His elbows are in. He's in a good spot. He's doing his thing. All right, cool. So I'm going to whizzer. And the whizzer, again, is just relaxing. I'm taking his elbow and I'm sprawling and I'm getting it out away from his body. From here, Seth, bring your knees back in. Come close. Okay. Watch this. Now I'm going to check him. Can you get closer now?
No.
Okay. Do you want to let go of the single leg?
No.
If you do let go, what happens? Okay, now we get away and I can open his elbow and do all these other things. But by opening his elbow, I put him to a choice. I said, hey, man, you want to hold on? He said, no. All right, let me out. That's fine. It does my job for him. I didn't have to defend the single leg. I just opened his arm. If we come back, Seth gets stubborn. Well, now I find his elbow and I roll into the omoplata. So, because I didn't try to attack him when he was like this, I waited till he was like this and then I attacked, I'm likely to be successful. So, I can pressure him and all that good stuff, force him to roll. But then, if Seth, again, I know what Seth is going to try to do, and hey, he was single leg guy, which means that he's probably not used to this position, or may or may not be as used to this position. When he tries to wrench backwards, I go, okay, thanks, buddy. And I sit right up. All right, backflip, because right now, can you sit up forward, Seth?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay, cool. But you could knock me backwards over, right? If I don't move. Ugh. All right. But don't worry, if we come back, we can roll again. Roll forward, please. All right. So even though I'm not in the world's greatest control position, you can't go forward. You're sure?
Yes.
Okay. You can't turn that way.
No.
No, you can give yourself a heart attack. All right. Turn to face. Boom. I checked that. Or go back. Backflip. Stop that. Based on your positioning, because I'm controlling you and pinning you through your arm, open elbow, as we discussed at the beginning of the series, I've limited your movement to such a ridiculous degree that there's not a whole lot you can do. Oh yeah, and if I decide I want to let you do stuff, here, do you turn to face? I'm like, all right, boom, monoplata, and now I can do all kinds of cool, whatever all else into the triangle. We can finish any number of different things. But the idea, again, is the recurring theme throughout the series is creating that open elbow, capitalizing on it. So when we're on that single leg, or rather we're on that single leg defense, make sure before you roll for your omoplata, step one, if you're going to do that, make sure you get a good guard. Don't just do it. But two, if you are going to do it, make sure you create the vulnerability in the other guy first. If you're dealing with someone that doesn't wrestle well, hey, fine. If you're dealing with someone that does wrestle well, you're actually going to have to get them out of position first. And the only people we care about beating are the guys that actually do things right. All right, guys. I just want to kind of put together a little drill here that I hope is going to, kind of create some cohesion between everything that we've done on this last disc and the one in the second as well. So here we go. I'm going to try to connect omoplata, kimura, triangle, the hip omoplata, you name it, and we're just going to flow in between our positions. And again, I can't overstate. Flow, flow, flow. Yes. Is that the pace at which you fight? No, of course not. Not usually. Unless you're 10 times better than the other guy, you actually have to fight. But you don't get good at moving around and changing positions and becoming like Jeff Glover-like and, and things like that by training like a spaz who never engages people and only jumps at one move and then stuff like that. It's training. Get in there, mix it up, see what happens, and when you're doing drills, make sure that you're smooth first before you add power. So we'll start. I'll make Seth post, and then I catch the omoplata. I start to sit up. He comes to face. I catch omoplata, or rather I catch kimura. I bring him towards his back. I can even flip over. He tries to turn in. Boom, here comes the triangle. Got him. Take my arm back out. Drive him back up. He turns in again. I can step up. Oh wait, here's omoplata again. Back roll. Turns to face. Kimura. Turn in, please. Extend your arms. No, turn in. Here comes the arm lock. Up. Triangle. I'm going to hop up and back to the other side. He can turn to face. Uh-oh, open elbow. Keep going. I'm just playing, but open elbow. Omoplata. Back roll. Kimura. Bring him here. He steps up again. Can even let him come back up. Uh-oh. Single leg. Rocks backwards. I get on top. Seth I made a mistake. He comes all the way up on top of turtle. I go, ah, man, this sucks. Hippoplata. Tries to turn his face. Walk away. Up. Kimura, bring him all the way back. Triangle. All I'm doing, guys, is flowing from position to position to position. Teaching myself to transition, to move, to go through everything that we've done. And when you can do that with fluidity and then speed, you're really going to have